Now, my parents had a good reason for taking me to the movies all the time, because I was always sick with asthma since I was 3 years old. And I apparently couldn't do any sports, so that's what they told me. But really, my mother and father did love the movies. They weren't in the habit of reading. That didn't really exist where I came from. And so we connected through the movies. And over the years, I know now that the warmth of that connection with my family and with the images up on the screen gave me something very precious, because we were experiencing something fundamental together. We were living through the emotional truths on the screen together, often in coded form, these films from the 40s and 50s. Sometimes they were expressed in small things, gestures, glances, reactions between the characters, light, shadow. I mean, we experienced these things that we normally couldn't discuss or wouldn't discuss or even acknowledge in our own lives. And that's actually part of the wonder. So whenever I hear people dismiss movies as fantasy, I make a hard distinction between film and life, I think to myself that it's just a way of avoiding the power of cinema. I mean, of course it's not life. It's the invocation of life. It's an ongoing dialogue with life. Frank Capra said, film is a disease. He went on, but that's enough for now. I caught the disease early on, you know. I used to feel it. They used to take me to the movies all the time. I used to feel it whenever we walked up to the ticket booth, my mother and my father and my brother. You go through the doors and the thick carpet, past the popcorn stand where it had that wonderful smell, then to the ticket taker. And then sometimes these doors would open in the back, and there were little windows in it in some of these old theaters, and I could see something magical happening up there on the screen, something special. And as we entered, for me, I think now it was like entering a sacred space, kind of a sanctuary where the living world around me seemed to be recreated and played out. I mean, what was it about cinema? What was so special about it? I mean, I think I've discovered some of my own answers to that question a little bit at a time over the years. First of all, there's light. Light is at the beginning of cinema, of course. It's fundamental, because it's created with light, and it's still best seen projected in dark rooms where it's the only source of light. But light is also at the beginning of everything. Most creation myths start with darkness, and then the real beginning comes with light, which means the creation of forms, which leads to distinguishing one thing from another, and ourselves from the rest of the world, recognizing patterns, similarities, differences, naming things, interpreting the world, metaphors, seeing one thing in light of something else, becoming enlightened. So light is at the core of who we are and how we understand ourselves. And then there's movement. I remember when I was about 5 or 6, somehow I was able to see someone project a 16-millimeter cartoon in a small projector, and I was allowed to look inside the projector, and I saw these little still images passing mechanically through the gate at a very, very steady rate of speed. And in the gate, they were upside down, but they were moving. And on the screen, they came out right side up, moving. At least there was a sensation of movement. But it was really more than that. Something clicked then, right there. Pieces of time. That's how James Stewart, the great actor, defined movies in a conversation with Peter Bogdanovich. That wonder I felt when I saw these little figures move, that's what Laurence Olivier feels when he watches those first moving images in that scene from The Magic Box. The desire to make images move, the need to capture movement, I mean, seems to be with us 30,000 years ago in the cave paintings of Chauvet, as you can see here. In this image, the bison appears to have multiple sets of legs. Maybe that was the artist's way of creating the impression of movement. I think this need to recreate movement is a mystical urge. It's an attempt to capture the mystery of who and what we are, and then to think about that, to contemplate that mystery.